to the journey. We've officially hit day 50. That's right, we are halfway to the 100-day mark with the Bambu Lab P1S. If you've missed the first 40 days, I've got the full playlist linked in the description so you can see the evolution from total beginner to, well, whatever this is now. Today we're covering day 41 to 50, featuring some nostalgic Pokémon, some high-tech Airless designs, and a fidget toy that might actually be a magic trick. Let's get into it. Starting off day 41 with a classic, Poliwhirl. Now, I'm a huge Pokémon fan and I'm always looking for ways to print them using the colors I have in stock. What's cool about this specific model is that an AMS wasn't even required. It's a modular design. You print all the pieces separately, then press fit them together. The eyes are a 3-piece assembly, the stomach swirl is 2 pieces, and the hands snap right in. If your tolerances are dialed in on the P1S, you don't even need glue. Poliwhirl might not be everyone's favorite, but this clean multicolor look without the waste of a perch tower, that's a total win in my book. On day 42, I finally did it. I printed a vase. It's almost a rite of passage in 3D printing. I used a blue PETG for this one, and because I kept the walls relatively thin, it has this beautiful semi-transparent look when the light hits it. It's functional too. I'm using it to hold my Valentine's flowers and some special 3D printed wire flowers I made later in the week. If you're printing vases, I highly recommend PETG over PLA because it's much better at staying watertight over time. Day 43 was a test of internal geometries. I printed this whistle, which actually has a ball or a P inside. The trick is that the ball is printed in place. When it's finished, you have to take the screwdriver and gently dislodge it from the floor of the whistle. As for the sound, it's okay. If the ball isn't perfectly smooth, it doesn't roll as well, but when you catch it right, it sounds exactly like an umpire's whistle. It's a great way to test your printer's ability to handle small internal gaps without everything fusing together. Day 44 was a versus match. I printed 2 different types of clips. The first was a print-in-place design where the clamp slides into the body. The second uses a separate 3D printed spring mechanism. I wanted to see which had a better grip-to-width ratio. The spring version has some serious teeth. It'll hold on to anything, but it doesn't open very wide. The print-in-place version is more versatile, but a bit weaker. I'm definitely going to scale these up to 300% in the future to see if they could handle heavy-duty shop work. Day 44. The chip bag clamp. This is the perfect size for those small snack bags. Now, if you're a psycho who leaves exactly 2 chips in a bag, this will keep them fresh for you. For the rest of us, it's great for cookie trays. I actually tried to print a mega version of this for a giant bag of Lay's, but the print-in-place hinge actually melted and fused together during the print. I suspect I was printing too hot or my cooling wasn't high enough for that specific size. We're sticking with the small one for now. Now, remember that vase from day 42? On day 46, I printed these minimalist wire flowers to go in it. These are incredibly fast prints that use almost no filament. I did 2 different designs in red PETG. They look modern and clean, and honestly, if you're printing a whole bouquet of these in different colors, you'll never have to worry about watering your plants again. It's a simple print, but the aesthetic is 10 out of 10. Day 47 was a roller coaster. I wanted to try the airless mesh designs you see everywhere. I started with the tennis ball. I spent forever removing the supports and sand in the bottom to make it smooth, but the second I gave it a bounce, crack! It shattered. Lesson learned. Airless balls are designed for TPU, flexible filament. I printed it in PETG, which is way too brittle for that kind of impact. I didn't give up though. I printed a smaller ping pong ball version. This one felt much sturdier, and it actually bounces. I don't have a table or anyone to play with, and let's be real, I don't know how to play ping pong, but just knowing it works is enough for me. After the success of the knitted bunny on day 40, I had to try the knitted look for jewelry. On day 48, I made these red knitted bow earrings. They look so intricate, almost like they're hand stitched. My big brain plan for these is to print another pair and glue them back to back, so the knitted texture is on both sides. I've got some high-strength super glue ready to go, so stay tuned for the version 2.0 of these. Day 49 brought us a dual-purpose tool. It's a classic bottle opener on one side, but the other side has a wedge designed to slide under the tab of a soda can. No more breaking your fingernails on a stubborn Canada Dry. It even has a keyring hole so you can carry it everywhere. I'm thinking about modifying this spout to add a slot for a magnet so I can keep it on the fridge. This is one of those prints where as soon as my friends saw it, they all wanted one. And finally, we're capping off day 50 with something truly wild, a kinetic fidget. This thing is complex. It's a series of gears that move in sync to create a mesmerizing, almost hypnotic effect. I'm literally using it right now to hypnotize you into hitting that subscribe button. In all seriousness, the assembly was a challenge. I actually had to watch a tutorial to get the gears lined up, and I ended up using a tiny bit of lubricant to make the motion extra smooth. It's the perfect high-tech way to celebrate 50 days of printing. And that is 50 days in the books. We're halfway to our goal. Sometimes I even go live on weekends to show you these prints happening in real time, so keep an eye out for that. I reply to every single comment, so let me know which of these 10 prints was your favorite or what I should tackle for day 60. All the models and the SUNLU PETG I used are linked below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.